Hello and welcome everybody to this week's episode of Ant on Music. I, of course, am your host, Ant, and this week we've got one of those metal prog type shows that seems that you guys love, and I love doing them too. I love this music. Before we get into it, Riverside. There is now a battle in Riverside. Earlier this week, Marius Duda said he could no longer continue on with Riverside, and basically Riverside was done. I only got to see them once on the Identity Tour, and they were fantastic. And I'm really, really bummed out that they're not going to be creating music with Marius Duda anymore. It appears that he cannot, as he said, he can no longer get together and put on a fake smile to perform for people. Since that time, their drummer has come out and said, I don't know how he could break up the band considering he wasn't there when it started. So we got a little bit of post-band infighting going on. So that's gonna lead to some trash talking, I'm sure, over the next weeks and months ahead. And we'll see where it goes. So it appears that Marius Duda is going to continue on with the Lunatic Soul adventure, even though we were told that the 8th and final album would be the final album, which it's now not. So whatever. I'm looking forward to whatever comes out of Marius Duda, as well as the guys in Riverside, which I think they have an uphill battle to climb, considering Marius Duda was one of the main writers and also the vocalist. So, but we'll see where that takes us. So before we get into the music, if you're new here, thanks for checking out the channel. I really do appreciate everybody that does. If you're not new here, thank you for coming back. Appreciate you guys as well. And whether you're new or not new, if you haven't subscribed as of yet, please subscribe. So what do we got going on this week? This is what I like to call one of those catch-up weeks. Stuff that has come in, stuff that I've gotten that I haven't gotten around to showing you guys, whether it was delayed in the mail, or release dates got pushed back, or whatever the case may be. So we're going to kick it off with something that is a lovely colored vinyl. One of my favorite bands from New York, Live in Tokyo 2010. This captures the band's show in Tokyo, Japan, a performance that would end up being drummer Mike Portnoy's last appearance with the band until he rejoined in 2023. Talking about Dream Theater, their Lost But Not Forgotten series. And this is part of the live section. This is Live in Tokyo 2010. And you notice they have the Japanese cherry blossoms there. It is on a really nice gatefold album cover here. As you can see, the boys in the band down here. Some prime live pics there. And the back. And if you were quick enough or paused to see what the sticker said, you'd notice that it is on fig cream vinyl. I don't know why they didn't call it cherry blossom vinyl, but it is gorgeous. And it's a 2-album set. And it's got a short track listing as far as songs go, but it does have some excellent selections as far as the songs are concerned. We get the whole album side of side 1 is A Nightmare to Remember. Then we get A Rite of Passage, Prophets of War, and Witheir on side B. Then on side 2A we get The Count of Tuscany, and then close it out with Pull Me Under and Metropolis. It is a killer live album. I've had it for about a month or so, or 6 weeks, and I dig it. I mean, it's like if you're a Dream Theater fan like I am, and you haven't gotten it yet, yeah, definitely pick it up. Definitely worth the cash, and it sounds great. It's a good sounding album, as all their live albums are. I mean, you're talking about just superior musicianship, and it's worth the price of admission alone just to hear Count of Tuscany with Petrucci just shredding away. Next up, we've got a twofer, all right? And this is from Napalm Records, and this is one that it got delayed because one of the 2 albums' productions took time to get it done. And that is Exodus Goliath, all right? And this is a 2-album set. And it comes with the booklet. We'll show you the sleeve. We'll talk about the album itself. We have the return of Rob Dukes. And it's a latter-day Exodus album. I've said before I am not the biggest Dukes fan. Maybe it's because I lived with Zetro for so long. It's like having him in the band. It just seems more natural to me. But I will say this, the albums with Zetro are damn good, and this is a typical Exodus album. You got some great tunes, all right? You got some middle-of-the-road ones, and you've got a clunker or two. There has never been, in my estimation, a perfect Exodus album. Let's show you the stuff first, and then we'll talk about my thoughts on it. This is, they're calling this a marbled vinyl, solar flare marbled vinyl. There are 2 slabs of it. It is very cool. All the labels are the same, so not going to waste too much time showing you that. We'll just show you the 1 slab of vinyl. Both versions of the album that I got came with a book. All right, this great booklet, which has your lyrics and liner notes, all the way through. Back there you have Dirtiest of the Dozen, last tune on the album, really, really good. You get an up-close view of the guys as zombies, and it is very, very cool artwork throughout. Kicking myself for not having gotten a t-shirt of this as of yet. I am a big Exodus fan. And, you can go through page by page, if you haven't picked this one up already. So the reason for the delay on this was because of the second production. This was ready to go. And it's like I was itching just to go to a record store just to pick it up, to have. But I didn't. All right. But, I waited for my stuff to come in from Napalm Records. And this one is just these called the exclusive and strictly limited Napalm Records mail order edition. All right. So with this one, all the same stuff, except this is a really, really cool looking picture disc. And I know. I always say I'm not into picture discs. I'm not into bootlegs. But then I whip a bootleg out or a picture disc. Couldn't resist. The artwork on this was just too cool. So they have the boys in the band. On that side, part of the album cover, I'm just showing you C and D. I'm showing you them out of sequence, but it's cool. And I'll show you A and B because they're obviously different. Obviously highlights this killer artwork in the album release. Another portion of the Goliath, and then the full shot of the Goliath on picture disc. This is more just for collecting. You're not going to really play the picture disc, although they have come a long way compared to what they were years ago. I have the solar flare version. That's the version I've been playing. So that will remain on display. And as far as the album goes, right, it kicks off with their video, which was purposely planned controversy with 3111, which is about the drug trade coming out of South America and Mexico. And then when I was talking to my boy Kevin Lynch Mob, all right, he was saying that this should have been track number 1, which is the second track, Hostis Humani Generis. And I agree with him 100%. Definitely should have been the opening track. It plays more like an opening track. 3111 or 3111, whatever the hell you want to call it, 3111. You can call me Ray, you can call me Jay. It doesn't matter to me. That definitely would fit better as a second track. All right, Hostis Humani Generis, great killer opening on that track and just all the way through. You also get the Changing Me, Promise You This, the title track Goliath, Beyond the Event Horizon, 2 Minutes Hate, Violence Works, Summon of the God Unknown, and the Dirtiest of the Dozen. And like I said, typical Exodus album. Great tracks, middle of the road, and some things where it's like, all right, this is kind of half-baked. Maybe this needed a little more time in the oven. But love Exodus. Glad to have both of these editions in my collection. Really happy to have Exodus still recording new music for us in 2026. So last week was Record Store Day. And we all know how I have that video that's out there that not too many of you have watched. Go back and watch. There's a lot of killer stuff that came out for Record Store Day this year. Even if you don't participate, check out the stuff. A lot of times what they say is, exclusive. Ends up not being so exclusive a year later. You get it on black vinyl instead of colored vinyl. You get, whatever. It's all a game for the record companies to make some extra dosh there. But in my travels this week, I realized, I was going to was on the hunt for the one or two albums that I didn't get. One of them being Mark Lanegan, which I still haven't been able to track down where it's not going to be a kidney. And the other one was the Steven Wilson remix of Motorhead's On Parole. And I managed to get a copy over at Disc and Dat, over at Dark Side. I got the bulk of everything I got from the guys over at Disc and Dat, and I went online once Dark Side posted their leftovers, and I snapped this sucker up as quick as I could. You know, there's not too much Steven Wilson can do with this, but you know, he did the best he could. And this has Larry Wallace on guitar, Lucas Fox on drums for one song, and of course Lemmy and Phil Taylor on the balance of everything. All right, so you get that, and it is a cool splatter vinyl. Very neat. And it's the On Parole album, just remixed by Steven Wilson, the master of all remixing and remastering. Dude's got the best set of ears in the business. For those that are unfamiliar, on this we get Motorhead, On Parole, Vibrator, Iron Horse, Born to Lose, City Kids, Fools, The Watcher, Leaving Here, and Lost Johnny. Love it. Killer album. Glad that Steven Wilson had his hands on this, and I'm glad to have tracked that down. So, while I was in Dark Side hunting, this was something where I didn't get initially. I was kind of on the fence about it because I think it's this is the first release. They're going to re-release it again. All right. It's one of those things, of course, another record store day thing. This was a leftover I picked up at Dark Side. I could have gotten it at Disc and Dat, but I put pause on that. I think I did enough business by Disc and Dat if you go back and watch the other video. And this is King Crimson's first ever release of their Penn State live set from June 29th, 1974. So I would have been 6 when this came out. But, I mean, what a killer album. And killer lineup from 74 for King Crimson. You got Dave Cross, Fripp, John Wetton, and Bruford on drums. Very, very cool. Track listing. Gatefold sleeve with lots of lovely information there about the recording. And it is basic black. So nothing spectacular to see there. And it is a killer track listing. And Fripp is just a total beast. You get Walk On, No Pussyfooting, Lark's Tongue and Aspic Part 2, Lament, Exiles, Improv Is There Life Out There, Easy Money, which is always fabulous. Another improv of Is It For You But Not For Us, Fracture. Then one of my all-time favorites, and this was the only part that wasn't Starless is from the same show. And to close it out, they put in 21st Century Schizoid Man from Central Park, New York, just a few days later, July 1st in 74. And it is fantastic. It really is. Love me some Fripp. You know, Fripp's my bitch. Love him. So definitely, if you're a King Crimson fan, check it out. The very last version of Record Store Day 2026, unless I come across the Lanigan, would be Def Leppard Slang. And, you know, this is one of those ones. It's a first release, which means it's probably going to come out eventually under a different color. This album was much maligned. They said that this was the album where Def Leppard tried to be U2. And Def Leppard gets a lot of hate. I know my boy Steve can't stand them past like the second album. I like Def Leppard. It's my wife's favorite band. I do like them. I have seen them a lot, probably 7 or 8 times. And I did dig this turn as far as Slang goes. And the big gimme for me to pick it up, and this I got when I was sent to the mall and I went into Newberry Comics and hunted around and saw this there, was the bonus tracks. All right, I have this on CD. I have actually two versions on CD. One has part of like a 5 or 6 song acoustic show. That's not on here, but we got B-sides and original versions of songs and live versions and demos, which is kind of neat. I'll show you one of the albums. Actually, I'll show you both the sleeves in one of the albums. So you get your information on there. Lyrics, liner notes sort of deal. And, you get the original track listing, which is Truth, Turn to Dust, which is a cool tune. The title track, which is good. All I Want Is Everything, one of my favorite latter-day Def Leppard tunes. Work It Out, Breathe a Sigh, Deliver Me, Gift of Flesh, Blood Runs Cold, Where Does Love Go When It Dies, another great ballad from Def Leppard, and Pearl of Euphoria. And like I said, the big gimme on this is the additional. And this is, as they're calling it, Magenta. Very cool looking album. You've got the Slang logo right there. And what do you get with that? Move Me Slowly. All right, Move With Me Slowly. Truth, the original version. Burnout, which is, I believe, a B-side, right? B-side of Goodbye. You get the B-side of Promises, which is Worlds Collide. You also get Can't Keep Away From the Flame, which is the B-side of Slang. Work It Out, First Draft. Move On Up from Vivian Campbell's demo. All On Your Touch, 2012 revisit of that tune. Where Does Love Go When It Dies, the first draft, and the rough mix of Pearl of Euphoria. So, that closes out, unless I find the Lanigan, Record Store Day 2026 for me. So after, how many I did last week, having 3 more, and still not finding my my golden record from Mark Lanigan. That's the one I'm still hunting for. And in the mail, all right, so as you hear me say this once a month, it was the Vinyl Record Club, the Vinyl Club for Frontiers Music Vinyl Club. And so far, I started off with them about 4 months into them having this. And what got me to join was Winger 7, which I wanted to have on vinyl, which I didn't have on vinyl. So I got that and I dug that. And, it's a great music club to join. It's $25 a month, $180 a year. Can't really beat it. And once a month they send you one of their albums. And they're limited edition, This month's is Joh Corabi, and I got number 303, and I think it's out of 350. So one of the higher ones this month. If you're unfamiliar with Joh Corabi, how could you be? Why would you be watching this channel of mine? With this, Joh Corabi was his first foray into recorded music was with The Scream, which was Racer X, John Aldretti and Bruce Boulay. Once Racer X broke up, they hooked up with Joh Corabi, and they had the album. They had the band The Scream. And it was one of those albums that kind of got lost in the shuffle in '89. Good album. And then John's had like this journeyman career. And he was the vocalist that replaced Vince Neil and Motley Crue. And he's got a totally different sound. The best way I can equate it to is like when Queen brought in Paul Rodgers to take the place of Freddie Mercury. Great vocalist, just didn't work out. Just didn't work. Rodgers is a freaking beast, one of the best in the business, but having him with Queen didn't work. And that's kind of like the same thing. Fans had a very adverse reaction to Crab when he joined Motley Crue. I was one of them, all right? But now when I go back and listen to that Motley Crue album, I actually really dig it. I like a lot of it. This album is very cool. If you like some classic rock, funk, soul stuff, some acoustic guitars, this album is great. It really, really is. I am once again very pleasantly surprised by the album itself. Like I said, you don't get a choice in these once a month. And not that I dislike John's music, but this album really is pretty good. It's like, I don't know. It may end up making my top 10 for the year. It's that good. And the album's called New Day, which is the opening title track. Then you get That Memory. New Day's a good tune. That Memory's good. Faith, Hope, and Love is very good. Probably my favorite track on the album as of now is When I Was Young. One More Shot, 1969, A Good Look Back at the Summer of Love. Laurel, Good to Be Back Here Again. Love That'll Never Be. Cosa Bella, Your Own Worst Enemy, another great track. And a cover of Sly and the Family Stone's Everyday People. Really, really, at the very least, if you get a chance, listen to it online. I'm not lying to you. It's good stuff. So, no big box set this week. Lots of stuff that we got through. And that's it. That's all, everybody. But thank you so much for checking out the channel. Come back next week. I was hoping to drop one early in the week. Didn't get a chance to, but of course I waited. I ended up getting the Corabi in the mail yesterday, so can't really beat that. Until next time, you're gonna subscribe, you're gonna comment, you're gonna drop a thumbs up, you're gonna give a like. But until next time, peace. One love, music, and I'm out.